What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home? Well, Robert Jeffries and I found the gateway. Now the problem is finding a way back home. This is Stumbling Through the Multiverse, a Sliders recap with Rain Coleman and Robert Jeffries II. What's up, y'all, and welcome back. Welcome back. We are Stumbling Through the Multiverse. This is a review over none other than Sliders from the 90s, and we're working our way through. I am your co-host, Rain Coleman, the Carefree Black Nerd, and of course I have with me, like I do every single episode, Robert. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? Just ready for this ride, as per usual.
Yes.
And I'm like, we're 4 episodes in,
which it feels like more. Like
yeah,
this is that okay? Because I was like,
it does.
It's like we're on 7 or something. Like this
Yeah.
is only 4. Yeah. This episode, season 2, episode 4, The Good, the Bad, and the Wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
In this episode, Quinn is mistaken for a gunslinger in a world where the code of the Wild West still prevails. This is an instance where I never read the description synopsis before watching an episode. I think it may have cut down on some confusion, but I don't think it would have cut down on much. The beginning of this episode was terrible to me. It was very bad. I did not like it at all. I was like, this is very unclear. So that's my general thoughts. I
got you. I guess general thoughts. Strangely enough, this felt like a Matlock episode. It felt like In the Heat of the Night. It felt like it felt like a late 80s, early to mid 90s era drama, right?
Okay.
Like this more so than I think any of the ones that we've watched. And I don't know if I know because it came down to this corporate warfare, or type of deal, and it wasn't let's save the world. It's just like let's prevent this company from being bought out, and it just seemed like, and it was a murder mystery mixed in, and I for some reason I just couldn't get like Sparta, Mississippi out of my head, or like Matlock. It just this felt excessively 90s drama. So for that, I kind of liked it, but there are definitely things that we need to discuss and to talk about. But yeah. So those are my like general initial thoughts. Initial thoughts.
Ugh.
Oh,
disgusting.
You ready?
Go ahead, man. Okay. You got it.
And also hashtag STTM pod.
Yes, that too.
STTM pod. Just to kick things off. So the episode starts off with there's a boy, young boy, playing. He's dressed like, kind of has a cowboy hat on, and I think he's playing with a toy gun or whatever. But he sees the sliders, the portal with the sliders open up, and then we see all of them slide through, and they notice that he sees them. So they apparently convinced the boy that he's their group of traveling magicians, trying an act. So I kind of like that. It was just something fun. And they ask him if he can keep a secret. And the kid's like, yeah. So that's that. So the sliders, one of the things that I do like about this is Arturo breaks out his Western, like his cowboy accent. Yeah. It is one of those things where it kind of makes me wonder, like, did this actor do like a Western in the past or whatever, because it seems so different than different thing for Arturo to do. Right. So He asks them if there's a place where they can eat, and the boy tells them the name of a restaurant. So they go out onto this. It looks like an old west town, and it's called Wall Street. I think or is that the name of the restaurant? Actually, the name of the restaurant is Wall Street Restaurant. But when they walk on the street, it's modern day. These old kind of businesses, and I don't know if there's some homes or a lot of businesses, and then you see like a car, like this big ass Cadillac with like steer horns or whatever. Like if I'm getting that wrong, let me know.
No, that's right. That's
okay.
Right.
So like steer horns on the front. It's like excessively Texas.
Yes.
And I think one of the sliders says something about they feel that they've traveled back in time, and then Rembrandt mentions and they show it from their perspective, looking up, that you can still see the Transamerica building in the distance. So you can still see the skyline of some parts of San Francisco. So this is San Fran, and they find the restaurant. The thing that I love, and one of the things they notice is that in the town there are stores that have rifles and guns that are made to order. And I think I lost Rain. I do not know how to pause this. I don't see Rain at all. We have encountered some technical difficulties.
Yes.
And Rain is coming back. What? Rain is coming back on. So so I was like, let's just keep going. So, okay. So they see little signs that this is, once again, like the Old West, rifles and guns made to order, small town Western feel and Western feel vibe. And when they get to the restaurant, it's nothing but steak for days. It's steak and eggs, steak and cake, steak and steak, steak, just like steak. Like, it's crazy. There's no vegetarian options on this piece at all. So when they go inside, I love, like, Rembrandt kind of, he was like, I don't want it. He's like, I like the steak, but I don't like this hillbilly, what does he call it? Like Caterwall music. So they look on the walls. There's all these pictures of George Bush, the first one, LBJ, Sam Houston, representing like different presidents from, at least the United States for the first two, and then for Texas. And so, and there's a stock ticker in the bar. So doing a lot of world building. So when they walk in, this guy named Jed flips over a table. He's playing, they're all playing cards. There's a bunch of businessmen playing cards, and one of the guys flips over a table, and his name is Jed Dalton. And Quinn helps the guy up that his name is Cliff, that Jed attacked with flipping over the table. And then, Jed's like, stay out of this. And then Quinn is just, he's just like, I'm trying to, help this guy. And then Jed's like, do you want to, if you want to get involved, you want to fight or whatever. And then he, Quinn says like, shit, knuck up or buck up, some shit like that. And Jed, and the thing I like about Quinn is like, if we gonna do this, I mean, shit, we gonna do this.
Yeah.
But Jed challenges Quinn to a showdown, and he offers to, at that point, Jed, I think, shows off his, like, he has a gun in his holster. And that's when Quinn is like, okay, let's just, we can leave. It's just like, I don't need to knuck up or buck up today. And then Jed says no. And because apparently this is a thing now in this world where you have to throw down with these, this, not a transaction, but this is now a duel, an official duel. So somebody, he's like, I don't have a gun. Somebody tosses him a gun. This is like Back to the Future-ish in a way. Quinn gets the gun, and then somebody counts down to 3, and Quinn shoots his gun, and then the guy just falls over dead. And Quinn looks horrified because he killed a man, and then we cut to commercial. So that's, or at least to the opening credits. So let's get your thoughts, because you hated this.
This is so. So I will say I didn't hate all the opening. I just didn't like the opening. I do like them coming in and telling that boy that they were magicians. I was like, okay, this is smart. That's thinking on your feet. All kids like magic. That's fun. Walking through the town, again, my biggest concern with all of them is they're not aware enough. Rembrandt, especially, and I know this goes back to conversations we had before about the race element of it, but I think Rembrandt would be more high alert than anybody every time they travel, because you don't know how you're going to be perceived in this next world. odds are, especially we in clearly deep south, wild
Yeah.
wild west,
Mm-hmm.
cowboy. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So that's really my biggest concern. I did like the elements of the world building, like all of the steak. I like the decked out cars. Like so I'm fighting with myself because I did enjoy the aesthetic of this opening.
Mm-hmm.
But when we excuse me, when we got to that saloon duel, that that bothered me because I feel like the show was not clear enough. Like, I get it, we're in the
Mm-hmm.
West and I'm gonna challenge you. You talking shit, now you gotta shoot me for it. I get
Yeah.
that part, but the actual what led up to, like, I think them wearing the contemporary suits is probably what's giving me this cognitive dissonance where I cannot connect with, oh, let's just shoot each other. Like,
Yeah.
that was bothersome to me. I have an issue with the boy that I'm going to bring up later,
Yeah.
and it started here, but it makes more sense later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all in all, pretty decent opening. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, great, but the opening and stuff, I was like, man, this is when that man snatched up Wade and was like, "Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we're gonna shoot." I was like, "What are we doing?" Because
Yeah.
now my mind is going, "Okay, Rembrandt is fine, but are women okay in this world? We haven't seen any women. I mean, there may have been some extras, but we ain't seen no women outside of that. What is it? Jessica
Priscilla.
Rabbit lady, the blonde lady, that like that's it. Like, we ain't seen nothing else. So I don't know. I was just like,
Yeah.
this is weird.
Yeah.
So aesthetically pleasing, but I didn't like it.
I will say, I think because they don't establish this whole thing of, you ever see that movie with Michael Douglas, Wall Street? I think it's called Wall Street, and maybe it's not Wall Street.
Now Wolf of Wall Street.
Maybe Wolf. No, it's from back in the day where he's Gordon Gecko. Where he says greed is good. Um,
Oh, I feel like I have.
yeah, it's kind of like, so if you see that has that 80s Wall Street businessman type of vibe, or even if you look at something like American Psycho,
Okay.
it's this whole thing of this equation of that world, at least in our world, our real world, it's seen as, and they do this like several times, like they're seen as hatchet men or gunslingers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the tough guys that go in and handle the
Right.
the wildness of the business. So I definitely understand how, like, the opening for this without any explanation could be like, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's a lot, and I think they kind of, and it's actually one of the things that I kind of like, especially now within the world that we're living,
Mm-hmm.
because it feels like everything is cutthroat and nobody
Yeah.
cares, so in this case it's like excessive, but
Yeah. Sure.
very much so. So after this, after we come back, Quinn is in shock because he's actually killed somebody. The one thing I will say is I think this is a small callback to the first episode, the second part, where during the in the Soviet world,
Okay.
where the guy, he was about to shoot that guy and then just hit him with the butt of the gun. You remember they gave him a gun, like when he was doing
Yes.
his like judo moves, and before they had given him a gun, like, rat tat tat, if somebody comes after you, and then Quinn was like, I don't kill, like and he doesn't say it, but
Yeah.
he just, he hits the Russian soldier. So I think this is like a small callback to that, because and
Okay.
as far as I know, I don't think they've actively like killed people, on like throughout their.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
he
you're right.
okay. So
You're
he
right.
hasn't personally dropped no bodies,
No,
but
you're right. You're
we
right.
got two women that we will.
God.
So, but so they're going back to this thing of like he's not a killer until now. So
Mm-hmm.
he's a scientist, he's a basketball player, he's whatever was in that room when they were panning around.
Right.
So people are celebrating because, hey, this is Texas, right? It's like the Old West, where they were like, hey, there was a good duel, there was a good gunfight, but here apparently it's legit, legal. The sheriff shows up. Wade and the other thing I forgot to mention about this is that Arturo left the group so he could try to get some information about the world. So when they walk outside, I think he walks up when Quinn gets arrested because the sheriff arrives, and I don't even see Jed's body is taken out.
Yeah.
And they said he was out negotiated. So yeah, they said he was out negotiated. So he apparently was this lawyer. He was the counsel for a law firm run by this guy named Jack Bullock, and I don't know, somebody mentions the bar association, but the big thing is that even though Wade and Rembrandt are swearing up and down, like, this is self-defense and there are witnesses here, nobody speaks up, the sheriff is like, I got to take you down to the precinct or to the sheriff's office, and the professor walks up and they explain to him quickly what's happened, and he's just like, what the hell? He's like, I just went for a book and Quinn murdered somebody, or shot somebody in self-defense.
Yes.
So I think Quinn does mention as they're taking him away, just go to the hotel. So that's always like the meeting point. So when they get to the sheriff's office, the sheriff is like, you have no MBA, no law degree, and your gun, and now you get this feeling that apparently if you move into like these corporate legal realms, you also have to get gun training to solidify deals or whatever. Now the rules for this might just be as bad as that on that Eggheads World for the game.
Yes. Oh God.
So as he's trying to question Quinn, this brother walks in with this cowboy hat. And he's dressed in a suit, and his name is Billy Ray. So Billy Ray shows up, and he's a representative of Bullock's firm, and he's here to take Quinn to Bullock. And then the sheriff is like, I'm still questioning him. And then Billy Ray is just like, hey, you ain't nobody. You be taking him. Yeah, so pretty much. And then and then the sheriff's like, go with him, boy, or whatever. And then Quinn is just like, you're the damn police. And he's like, I don't know who this person is. And then Billy Ray, and then the sheriff says something like, that's the code of the West. And it was like, seriously? So he just takes him. And in San Francisco, the next scene, we get to see the city. It's the professor, Remy, and Wade. They're walking to the hotel, and this is the information dump. Actually, this alternate history was pretty fascinating to me. And what he explains is that Sam Houston, the historical figure in our world, became the president of the Republic of Texas. And while the North and the South were fighting in the Civil War, the Republic of Texas at that point took that opportunity to expand westward. So it sounds like they don't ever show a map, but everything, and if they do, I missed it, but everything kind of west of maybe the Mississippi or whatever you want to call it, is all Texas. It's like it probably is its own country. It's probably its own whatever, but it's like its governing, geographic body. And California is a part of that. So that's why we have San Francisco, Texas. Yep. And when they get to the hotel, and it's funny because and the other thing that's mentioned is that gunslingers are businessmen or businesswomen. And I think Wade says something to the professor to the effect of, you guys are talking. He's like, I can't believe you guys, Quinn's in danger and da-da-da-da. And then, professor tells her, like, the more we learn about this world, it'll help us to help him. So when they get to the hotel, the boy, I think his name is Jamie, has actually followed the group to the hotel and brought his mother, her name is Priscilla, and says that, these people are magicians and they appeared out of nowhere. And they're like the Mighty Morphin Texas Rangers, and they're here to help us because, whatever. And the mom is trying to say, hey, it's whatever, just leave these people alone. And then I think Wade or Remy says, hey, this kid's got overactive imaginations. And the boy looks at him like, you traitor. And so the mom takes him away, and then they go into the hotel. So these scenes from, the saloon to this boy being lied to.
This is trash. This is the episode where I have to side with the professor, Cause like
Yeah.
I just stepped away. I was away for 5 minutes at most,
And body,
probably
somebody
more.
got
And
body.
now you've murdered. Like we haven't done this on any other world, and yet here you motherfuckers go. I get his frustration now. I I don't know if it was me and I'm Queen and all that stuff happened and nobody's willing to like speak up. I'm gonna just shoot everybody here. I was like, why just commit? One thing I do want to make note of is and if I'm wrong, let me know. But they never said how much time they had on this world.
No,
And
they
that was so weird to
don't.
me. I was like, how do you get here? And that's not the first thing you say. Hey, we have 2 days here. Because
Right.
later on, when they started talking about leaving, I was like, but
We haven't
this
said
makes no
all.
sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you're here, and you've done this on every episode. Fuck
Hmm.
continuity. You've done this all the time.
Hmm.
That was weird. That I just would. I'm sorry. I just would have shot everybody because I just feel like just shoot everyone. Just kill them all because clearly, like, I'm like, at some point you have to quit going to jail. Like,
Hmm.
what is this? The fifth time Quinn has been to jail
Yeah.
on any different? Like, what are you doing? You're
Hmm.
always in jail. You are the problem. Um, it's all good. I think again, I'm sided with the professor. This little boy is probably going to be my favorite character. Because I do not like the way he was handled. And this moment where Rembrandt said, "Hey, kids got active imaginations." I'm not saying you need to tell his mama you came from another planet, but I was like, that's also something that was missing in this episode. They never told anybody. So when we get to, well, I'll wait for that. But it just, I think I like the episode more now that we're talking through it. But I
Hmm.
still am not a fan of this, and I don't know if it's the wild west of it all, if I'm because I'm siding with the professor on certain
Hmm.
things, if Queen is just a flipping idiot and I'm sick of him. And then even what is it, Wade? What did she say? What context was there where she was like, yeah, you guys are what she said, when Queen is gone and you guys are whatever you said.
But when
I'm
he
thinking like,
was, they were talking when they were talking about the history of the world.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not the same Wade we've had. Like, how is this your argument?
Yeah.
How is this what you're concerned about? Like, whether we know about the world or not, Quinn is still going to be locked up. So the
Yeah.
more we know about it, the greater chance we got at maneuvering, which is
Mhm.
something that I've been asking for them to do forever. Figure
Yeah.
out what the fuck is going on. So I don't know.
Exactly.
This the behaviors were weird to me. Um, I'm gonna give Rembrandt a pass because it's the first interaction with that little boy, well, second.
Mhm.
But as this show progresses, I get pissed off. So how and then Emma Frost coming over. Oh, this is my baby. What you're talking to my baby? Like, girl, get your bald head ass. Well, he ain't bald headed, but either way, that's my thoughts.
They're it's funny because the professor says something at the end, towards the end, to Wade. Well, it's the second time he's just been straight up like very disrespectful to her. When he essentially told her like, "Shut the fuck up, I'm trying to think." It was just like, yo. But when you say what you said just now,
Yeah,
it's just like, don't have Wade going back and forth. I mean, like it's I don't want to say it's warranted, but you understand like where the
yeah.
professor, he was like, I was trying to learn shit, and y'all murdered people. Like,
Now that and that's exactly it. Is like a broken clock can be right twice a day, and this is
yeah.
one of them times. What I am noticing, and it's not really a pattern because we don't get a
Mhm.
lot of black people on here, but every time these motherfuckers is in trouble, somebody black. I'm not gonna say magical Negro, but I'm gonna say that motherfucker popped up. We had that black lady before who ended
Oh,
up
the
trying to take their
actually, yeah,
spur.
the
And,
doctor,
hey,
and now Billy Ray, Dr. Cooper, I think, and then Billy Ray. Yeah,
and
that's
Billy Ray,
crazy.
I know him from something, and I can't, and it's pissing me off that I can't place it. I'm like, it feels like living single, but it also feels like a different world, and I know it's not a different world. He almost kind of looks like Jefferson Pierce when he was on Living Single, but clearly that's not him. I
This
know this man's face,
this
and
is
it's
Scooter from the Multiverse.
honestly, yes,
Yeah,
that got it. Like, there's something there.
yeah.
But I like him too. I like his introduction. Um, I'll just say I like him, and fuck the sheriff. He a
This
bitch.
this brother was doing everything. Yeah, the latest thing, he was in Men in Black. The big
Okay,
things that they have: Men in Black, um, Blackish,
okay.
Selma, and For Better or Worse. It looks like he was in a bunch of episodes of For Better and Worse,
Is that a talk
or
show?
Worse.
Oh no, no, no. That's that sitcom.
The sitcom, yeah, yeah,
Um, is that where I know him from? I don't know. Well,
yeah.
either way,
But
he's cool with me, but
yeah,
shit,
Billy
everybody
Ray,
else fuck them.
Kent Falcon. So
Hmm.
we might need to do another black person list, even if it ain't Black History Month.
No, for real.
Yeah, it's like, let's break out the blacks for Rain and Robert in the future. So, because I was
Yeah.
surprised, like it did when I saw him pop up, I was like, shit, I forgot about Billy Ray. And then
Hmm.
right a couple episodes right after Dr. Cooper, like we have a
Yeah.
prominent one of the prominent characters. So
Hmm.
2 for 2 for
Hey.
4 episodes.
Hey.
So we get to the Bullock law firm, and we see Bullock talking to. I never figured out what this dude's name is, but like his second in command. Bullock Billy Ray brings in Quinn to the law firm, and Bullock says that he tries to offer ultimately he tries to offer Quinn a job, and because Jed Dalton was one of his top lawyers or top gunslingers, and they said the Harvard class of '93 is now going to be able to fit itself in a phone booth. And I was
Wild.
like, God. I was like, that's how they get down, just like bodies dropping everywhere. So they all everybody's carrying guns, and they when they mention that he has no law degree, no MBA, he has nothing, they call him a maverick.
Yep.
So this motherfucker can just shoot. It's just like that's it. So Quinn is still like confused, but they tell Billy Ray to take him down to, I think it's called Old Town, where they were, the kind of the Old West area. So he tells them to take him there and show him a good time. We cut to Quinn in the bar, the saloon. They probably didn't even clean up the blood stains, to be honest with you.
No.
Quinn calls Remy and says that they're trying to recruit him or pressure him, and Remy's like, just stay safe or whatever. And Quinn's like, I'll be to the hotel soon, but he says he's out of jail, so that's
Yeah.
a big thing. So there's a guy singing, and a lady yells for him to get off the stage. So apparently this happens a couple of times, and I think Billy Ray is drunk, and he's telling, Quinn tries to leave, and Billy Ray's like, oh, we just started, and gives him a few drinks.
Hmm.
And he goes on to the stage, Billy Ray, and makes an announcement about Quinn killing. He was just killing this dude, and he's like, "It's the greatest gunslinger ever." And then he tells Quinn to come up and say a few words, and Quinn says, I'm sorry, it's great to be in Texas," and everybody's drunk, and they go, "Yay!" And then you got this one dude who his name is Lonnie. And Lonnie was just like, I've worked at Bullock and so for so many years, and you jumped ahead of everybody just by,
Hmm.
killing motherfucker, whatever. And he's like, I challenge you to a duel. And so Quinn is just like, what is going on? I hate this world. And then Billy Ray says, like, Lonnie, you need to chill. This is Bullock's, he's here on Bullock's time, he's his guest. And, Lonnie's like, I don't agree with it. And, you get this vibe that everybody's going to start coming after Quinn. So Lonnie tries to pull, and then Billy Ray kills him. And he says, Quinn is like looking distraught, and he says, well, he was going to get canned anyways. And so like the people come back onto the floor, and I see nobody pick up this man's body. So I'm just like, are we just chilling as the blood pools on the ground underneath this guy?
Hmm.
And so that's kind of how they go to and they cut the commercial. We go back to the hotel. Remy and Wade are watching TV. They notice that pretty much, because watching TV is how they learn about the world. Everything is violent. Everything is violent. I was just like, is there a difference between our world and y'all's?
Not really.
Except here, except on their world, they kill people in broad daylight. Like it's business transactions. Quinn shows up. He's drunk. He talks about what happened and the corporate gunslingers, and then he passes out. So because let's go through these couple of scenes. Like, any thoughts? Because this is where it gets all business oriented.
Right.
I gotta make sure like what I read is correct, because sometimes it gets excessively
Yes.
oriented.
It becomes Ally McBeal or something. Like, I don't
exactly.
know. It's just, this show is so. This episode, first and foremost, the good things. The white man who is the head of Drexel or whatever it is.
Bullock. Yeah, Bullock. Yeah.
That's Mike from Desperate Housewives. That's where I know him from.
Okay.
So I looked it up. That was Terry Hatcher's. He ended up being her boyfriend, I think, in a later season, but I knew his face right away. And there's another character who pops up who I know him from some other stuff too. And I looked at the year. Desperate Housewives started in 2001. I think Mike showed up 2002 or 3. This is from 97, 98. So I was trying to place it to see, like, was he working a whole lot like around that time? But so for me, I was already a fan. Yes, he's an asshole, but I'm a fan because I like the character Mike. This place must stink. The way we're just murdering people, whether you get the bodies up or not, it must smell bad there. Like, it must smell like death. Like, I would expect more disease. I would expect more. I mean, I know that's not the focus of this episode, but like, what are the side effects of just murdering people? The other thing I was concerned with is if Quinn is this great maverick for besting Jed, which is fine, what's stopping other people? Like, why isn't there just killings?
Like, just everywhere. It's just all the time.
It's like, because they make like, if he's the best, just shoot him.
Yeah.
And if people ain't talking and saying nothing, you can just be dishonorable and shoot him behind his back. Like, this is where a lot of it started falling apart for me. And because I guess my concern is there one hand that's the actual business side, and then the other hand that's the shooting side, and they just happen to be two sides of the same coin. My impression was the business side was killing people.
So the thing that it's I don't think it's ever cleared up is like, are the gunfights finalizing these business deals, or are they just killing to raise the reputation of the various companies or corporations or law firms?
Okay,
it's weird. It's
now,
like,
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump ahead a bit. What makes that not make sense to me is Priscilla. Is that her name?
Priscilla. Yeah.
Priscilla. When she's like, "Oh, I have this chip that could change the world," such and such. I'm like, well, this has nothing to do with shooting. So we are an actual business. So I I felt dumb. Not that I'm not smart, but I felt dumb because the other episodes have made it clear, or at least had enough context clues that made sense. So I'm like, maybe it's me. Maybe even if I remove my confusion, it still doesn't make sense to me. So we got Mike from Desperate Housewives. I got It Must Stink here. What's to stop other people from just shooting? And what are the rules to this magic system, this gun magic system? That's where, fuck my confusion. That's where my concern was. Like, okay, if it's just, what is stopping me, regular average Joe with a low tier job, from just killing a lawyer? And then like taking over? That's essentially what Quinn did. But like, he's new here. Why isn't it? Because I think of it like, and this may be giving this too much thought, but young kid from the hood, young kid from impoverished background in our world may turn to sports because you're probably going to get a large paycheck. But here, I'm 8, 9 years old. I'm living in a trailer or living in a housing project. I just need to find a gun, and shoot people. And with that being established, again, I'm sure I'm thinking too deeply, but now let's pivot to gang violence? Is that not
Yeah.
a thing here? Like, I, I had so many questions that Quinn's presence did not clear up. But I kind of empathize with the guy Lonnie
Hmm.
because I've been working on this man for 10 years.
Yeah.
Also, it's
Yeah.
been 10 years. You should have been shot him, but I've been working on this man for 10 years. Now he's shot and dead, and you're taking over. I'm I'm not even addressed. I'm just coming in shooting. I don't care about. I don't care. I'm gonna
Talking.
just kill you. It's I don't know. I don't. I'll stop there because
No, I mean,
yeah.
like I said, all your questions are are valid because that's kind of what was going through my head because they do this whole thing of like the hostile takeover,
Mm-hmm.
and so in my mind, I'm like, okay, so you get to that point in the contract negotiations,
Mm-hmm.
and then you bring in two gunslingers and whoever pulls the fast, it's like, and before that, let's say both of these are lawyers on both sides and
Mm-hmm.
they've kind of worked things out to the point where it's just like, well, we're at a stalemate. So the way that we break the stalemate from two of our, fastest thinking minds is there are fastest hands. And then that's when you have the gun battles. But because Quinn kills this man just at the saloon, and there's so many things that contradict that. Their
Yeah.
lore gets impossibly confusing. It gets not impossibly, it gets very confusing. And the
Mhm.
strange thing is I think they probably behind the scenes had a lot of fun building this
Oh
lore
yeah, it
because
looks
they were
fun.
because they were kind of comparing it with, like I said, the modern day gunslinger when it comes to like
Mm-hmm.
the corporate. These guys are like harsh and they're
Right.
unfeeling and they're deadly when it comes to the corporate boardroom. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like that's what they were going for. But it's just like you said, you haven't established what the magic system is for this shit. So it's like anybody could be it. So we go to a casino. I'm assuming is in the same hotel that the
Gotta be.
sliders are staying in.
Gotta be.
I mean, it was just a random ass casino. So Priscilla is talking with the guy who Quinn had helped before, and what she explains is that she needs a $1 million buy-in to start a company with advance with to support her. She has a computer. She has a company. It's a tech company, and she has a computer chip, which
Mm-hmm.
will change the game. And she needs a $1 million buy-in. And her and her husband were trying to avoid a corporate takeover from Bullock. That's what happened. So the guy Cliff tells her like, you ain't got it. So Bullock is coming for you. So that's the very simplified version.
Yeah.
Like if you're watching this, like my brain got scrambled trying to read this shit off and make it make sense. So so anyway, so that's the conflict for the
Yeah.
episode. It's once again we come back to corporate shenanigans or whatever. So we go back to the hotel, or maybe the same place, a hotel room. Wade leaves to get some aspirin for Quinn. And this is when Quinn is going through it, talking about killing the man. And, Remy and the professor are like, you're out of jail. You did good. No, they don't say that. They tell him essentially like, these people live by different, rules here. And you couldn't help what happened. And he says, Quinn is like, that doesn't make me feel better. Dead is dead. So he doesn't like taking a life. So Jamie, we cut to outside the hotel. Jamie, the little boy, is outside the hotel, and he runs into Wade and was like, why y'all do that to me? Why y'all snitch? Or just lie? And she's just like, well, stop coming at us with crazy shit. You talk to us, don't be telling people our business. But he shows her these like trading cards, which are gunslingers, like famous gunslingers, and they're supposed to be like baseball cards, so this is what the kids of this world idolize and want to become, instead of like baseball players, basketball players, who are in the trading cards. And this is one of the points where I actually like Jamie because he's a funny kid.
Mm-hmm.
His mom comes over and says, "Can I talk to Wade?" And she says, "Did I hear right? That Quinn isn't a gunslinger?" Because like that's what Wade told Jamie, is that Quinn regrets what he did. He's not a killer, And then the mom comes over and talks to him. And so when they get into the hotel, Priscilla visits the group. and basically explains that Quinn is like the big news of the town. She saw a report about him on the Business News Network, and as far as like the corporate news and all of that. And what she wants to meet Quinn, and she explains that she was the one that killed Jed Dalton. She said I had the angle and I had the motive because that motherfucker killed my husband, and I actually
Mm-hmm.
respected that. Like
Same.
I really loved that. She was like,
Mm-hmm.
"You gave me an opportunity," and my question is, where did Quinn shoot? Where did that bullet? Because he did fire his gun, um, and I love the fact that nobody investigated
At
with
all.
with forensics and nothing. They were just like, "Well, he's dead." So she explains that the reason she killed him is because Bullock had um, assigned the murder of her husband,
Mm-hmm.
her husband who she ran this business with, this company with. Jed Dalton killed her husband at the basically at the behest of Bullock, and so part of the reason is because they're trying to do this hostile takeover to seize her company, to do a buyout. And she says that she explains that Bullock, and this is when she takes Quinn out and she's talking to him outside, and there's a lot of going in and out of the building. So she explains that what Bullock does is that he buys companies like Hardaway, her company. I think it's like Hardaway
Mm-hmm.
Tech or something, and then he sells them off for parts. So that's the simplified version of
Mm-hmm.
of what's happening. So it's hostile takeover vibe, and so she explains that Bullock and nobody can be trusted and this and that, and that's when Billy Ray pulls up. And Billy Ray, sees him talking to Priscilla Hardaway, and says, "Hey, let's go to the shooting range." Quinn says, "What do I do?" She says, "Just play along for now." And he gets in a car, and it's funny because Billy Ray says, "Hey, Mrs. Hardaway," and I was just like, "Billy Ray, you an asshole! You know y'all murdered his her husband," and she don't say shit to him. And then they go to the shooting range, and one of the things that Billy is like shooting like these glass bottles, and the target's doing really well. Quinn steps up, and he's still pitching the law firm to Quinn. It says, you can go alone. He's like, "Have you made a decision yet?" And Quinn's like, "Not yet." And he's like, "Well, you may want to think faster." And also, are you, he asked him about talking to Priscilla. And Quinn says, there's nothing happening there. And then Quinn starts shooting. And then Quinn shoots nothing. Like he doesn't even he takes the time to aim, but he shoots nothing but like the air and trees. And Billy Ray looks at him like, "Are you, what the hell?" And Quinn's like, "This is the wrong gun. I'm not used to this gun."
Oh,
It's just like, this whole thing is falling apart. Um, and so then after that, the one thing I do like is that Billy Ray does say, "Can we get your Jim Bowie on the dotted line?" And that's when, after Quinn says, "No, I'm still thinking about it," he's like, "Well, you better hurry up because um, and if you're, he talks about Priscilla, he says that Bullock is going to bury Priscilla Hardaway if it's the last thing he does." So,
just
any thoughts about, we got this explanation now about, the actual, who actually killed Jed? It's like, who actually killed JR? Who killed JD?
well,
Um, and then the corporate takeover.
this
Does
is
this,
this is not
I don't
doing
know,
it
make
for
it
me.
make more sense?
No, it does, but it's just not
Mhm.
doing it for me. I do
Yeah.
not like it.
Hmm.
Corporate takeover, fine. I'm good with that.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. I got just kill everybody. Like just feel like that would solve everything.
Hmm.
Um, Wade and Jamie. I like that kid. I think that kid is a
Hmm.
really good actor. That's a good child
Yeah.
actor.
Yeah.
I like the cars. I like that scene. But I guess for me, Wade, what do you accomplish by telling this kid that Quinn is not a killer? Like, what does it matter? We're not going to stay here. So fucking what if this little boy who's already into guns looks up to
Yeah.
Quinn because Quinn is the like maverick. Like I was like, what? it does not matter. I was like,
Yeah.
what? It matters for the plot because of course we need for Priscilla to overhear.
Hmm.
I was like, wait, this is dumb. Go get the drugs
Hmm.
for this drunk man. Like, let's do that. Um, my issue with Jamie is there is no babysitter in this
He's
whole
just running around.
thing. Like, I was like, Priscilla, I ain't gonna. Well, I don't have any children. I'm not a woman, so I
Hmm.
don't want to say she's a bad mom. But sis, why is this boy with you everywhere? You ain't went nowhere family friendly yet.
Where's
Every
the
place got,
school?
but well, if they're used to guns in this world, because he got one on his hip too. Whatever. Um, Priscilla, I do like her.
Hmm.
To your point, to me this doesn't feel like a Sliders episode. And the more I think about it, I think that's what maybe is bothering me about it because it feels like, and this is both, I guess, a pro and a con. It feels like it's an already established world, as
Hmm.
if you put Sliders into a different TV show that was going on at this time. That's what it
Hmm.
feels like, and for me, it takes me out of it. But I would be interested in like another 30 minutes of just this world without the Sliders,
Hmm.
just to like see it operate. Not like, oh, I want to
Yeah.
write an episode and get it, but I would. It feels like something else that would have been on at that time. So I do think they did a good job with that. Um, Queen being drunk, sure, that was great. But him shooting, and I forget the character's name, but him shooting like not Mackay Pfeiffer, was homeboy from In Too Deep when he had the undercover cop. He had to act like he wasn't a cop, and so he was
Um.
shooting all.
Oh
Um,
man.
that's what that felt like to me.
Yeah.
Um, the other part of this, and this is going to be slight spoilers for what's the Hulu show with Sterling K. Brown?
Oh
Um,
no, I haven't even watched it.
okay, well, never mind, never
Yeah,
mind.
I
I'll
haven't
just
watched it
say
yet.
once you watch it,
Yeah.
keep this episode in mind. Like,
Okay.
and
Okay.
literally the first, you will know what I'm talking about. The first
Okay.
episode of that show. So, and those of you who've seen it, I think I you know what I'm talking about. And it's
Okay.
not nothing that spoils the whole thing, but just know first episode of that show, which is what's the name of it?
The I was about to say The Shining.
I'm saying the premiere. That's not it.
It is.
Um, the something.
It
It's the.
was
It is the Hulu.
Paradise.
There we go. Shit. Paradise.
Paradise.
Yeah. It's this very much gave me Paradise. I was like, oh, is this where they got that from? All in all, I mean, it's cool. I do like Priscilla. I don't understand why they didn't just kill her too, but I do like that she's this Murphy Brown character who's like
Yeah.
doing her thing and in her skirts and short haircuts and doing her 90s thing for herself. That's cool. But like, so I'm coming to realize that I have an issue with the episode, but I think less about it's more about the magic system and more about it feeling like a whole nother show.
Hmm.
Which again could be good and bad. Bad for me, but I could see how that would be good. So
Well, I mean, is I said that this this reminds me of like Matlock or In the Heat of the Night,
hmm
and we came off of Jillian of
yeah,
the yeah,
yeah.
and so like
Here, mhm.
that was like some
You're
crazy
right.
shit. But
You're
now
right.
like it's people could say, well, this is very bland. We're going to like white not white market crime. What is it?
White collar.
White collar crime. That's
Yeah.
basically what this is,
And
except
it's
and it's just like and we've had episodes that have dealt with white collar crime,
hmm
so it's finding the balance of um the wacky stuff with the regular
hmm
stuff
hmm
is it's kind of this weird balance for them to kind of make. um
Yeah.
and the funny thing is, it's like in later episodes, I think that the action, not even the action, the shooting
hmm
stuff that you're going to get that. It's going to be like less of this and more of that. It was something that popped up in my mind when you were like, just shoot everybody. What were you about to say?
I think for me, what would have made this better
Mm-hmm.
is if the head guy in charge or just anybody who was reoccurring
Mm-hmm.
was a variant of one of the Sliders. I think that's what this episode is
Okay.
missing. That would have made it be like, okay, well, this is a
Mhm.
very serious Wade who is the
Yeah.
gunslinger. But like I think, and not even play it for comedy or laugh, it still could have been this serious hostile takeover. But I
Mhm.
think because there was no variant of the four sliders,
Mhm.
that also made this a little, I don't want to say boring because the episode is not boring.
Mhm.
It's not I'll stop there. I'll just say I
It's
just
middle
wish
of the
we had
road.
a variant for this episode. That's it.
Um, so we had so Billy Ray, they had the shootout, not the shootout, but they have the gun range. And after that, we cut to, I'm just gonna say the hotel slash casino, because I don't think they run in between like two places. So Wade is saying that they should have done more to keep Quinn at the hotel, and
Mm-hmm.
Remy is like, these mofos carry guns, and I'm like one of two black people in this world, so
Hey.
I'm not doing much. So like you gotta let it flow. So Priscilla comes over and she's talking to uh, the poker manager. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking to some guy, and he's like, if you don't have a body in the chair, then you'll have to forfeit. So I'm like, forfeit a poker game? And so no, because poker is entwined with the business dealings of this world. And I was just like, okay, I don't see what y'all are going for. So she gets to she you play poker for the stock exchange and taxes. I don't know, like stocks, whatever. I don't I'm confused. So she tells Remy, like, I need you to step in for Cliff, the guy who got the table flipped over on him and from earlier, and I need you to ante up and then fold every hand. And Remy's like, I used to play poker back in the day. I could win this game for you. And then she's like, no, just ante and fold. And so he sits down, and that's what he starts doing. So um, Priscilla, Wade, and the professor go to Cliff's hotel room, which maybe is in the same building or maybe a different one. And he says they knock on the door. Professor busted down, and then you just see somebody's body hanging from the ceiling, which is Cliff. Cliff is dead. Rest in peace, rest in power, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we go back to the casino, and Remy keeps folding, and there's a guy corporate lawyer, who's just like talking shit and da 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 da. And the Remy deals to this is where corporate deals take place, and he's dropped like 40k because he's just doing the ante and folding. And I don't know if this is the part where Wade shows up and tells him, maybe this is it, yeah, where she
It is.
shows up and tells him like what happened to Cliff. And she's like, just stay here. So Wade goes to the sheriff's office and says, hey, I think that Jesus, Cliff got murdered. And then the sheriff says, well, word around town was that Cliff had cleaned Priscilla out, and then he just magically hung himself. So I was just like, okay, because there's no forensics in this world. You can't send people to investigate the
Uh,
crime scene. So and then Wade calls him out and basically says, you need a backbone, and this and that. And the sheriff
mm-hmm.
looks off in the distance as she walks away, contemplating his career. He actually did like the same thing when Quinn got pulled out by Billy Ray. So I was just like, that's your thing. So we go back to
Yeah.
Bullock's firm, and Billy Ray is, still once again trying to smooth Quinn. And then
Mm-hmm.
they get a heads up from the, I guess, executive assistant that Bullock wants to talk to the two of them. And so they go into his office, and Bullock and his second in command, they just look pissed. And Bullock accuses him of meeting with Priscilla Hardaway, which he was. And, Quinn tells him that, there was nothing to it. Um, and they mention that Priscilla is taking her company public, and that there's an undisclosed like representative that's a part of her taking it public, and they assume that that is Quinn, because that
Mm-hmm.
ties into this narrative of him coming out of nowhere, killing Jed Dalton, and this and that. And one of the things that I don't know if it was Priscilla or Wade, but somebody told Quinn, "You better bluff. You better bluff. You better, because that's how play that to your favor as far as
Mhm.
having this reputation of being this maverick." And then that's basically what he does. He by this point he has his own gun, and he turns to the group and he's just like, motherfuckers,
Yeah.
um, motherfuckers hop up to get knocked out, or like
Mhm.
jump up to get
Yeah.
knocked out. And then he walks out and the three guys are looking at him and it's like, oh, don't do it. But the funny thing is, if I was Billy Ray, I was like, motherfucker, you couldn't even shoot. When he was like, we didn't get you a different gun yet. That's the same gun that you could not shoot air with. So he gets out of the room, and then Bullock says, Billy Ray, you either stupid or you purposely ignored the signs, but you were fired. So, because Billy Ray says, I didn't know. I didn't know. And so Billy Ray, he looks off in the distance because he doesn't have a job. So that's that. Um, because at this point, we're kind of wrapping things up. Any thoughts about that in between?
I'm just glad that this show didn't have Rembrandt find that man hanging from a noose. I'm so grateful. Like, because what are we doing? This I mean, all in all, it's a nice series of events. It all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is Quinn in an office. One, why'd you turn your back on these three men with guns who think that you're going after their company? Why would you turn your back? They should have just shot him. Like you said, there's no forensics. They could have just turned him over and shot him
Right.
instead. But the sheriff, and an argument could be made that everyone just accepts this world's events.
Mm-hmm.
So Wade giving him shit is like, oh, a new perspective, somebody who thinks differently, sure. But if her cussing you out, like, has nobody ever been mad at you before? Like,
Right.
you're
But
the
that's it.
sheriff.
It takes the sliders to
It
change this world, just like Michael Jackson
apparently,
said.
apparently, um, the Wade, I'm not mad at her, and her talking her shit because like, yeah, this man is dead, figured out. But the sheriff was like, you know how many people die in this town? I was like, well, I guess that kind of answers my question, but it's also like,
Right.
I'm not advocating for the police, but like, hire more police. If that
Right.
many people are dying, you guys have a gun problem. Like, what is, you have
So,
fostered a society where guns are like currency. Fix it. Like, it's not just because tons of people die doesn't mean you should do your
so
job. Do
well,
your job. That's it.
the other weird thing about that is that he's talking about like these bodies piling up, but the way that they make it sound is like this is proper business, right? This ain't
Exactly.
like this ain't you at somebody's barbecue and the shit pops off and then like you drunken guns, right?
That's
Or
what I'm
you got
saying.
somebody robbing a store, or or like meth
But
heads
even
and
that,
shit.
is that even a crime?
I
You were
don't
quicker than the
know.
cashier. For
We don't
you,
know.
like, how do you this world makes the lottery world make so much more sense. This world, it really like highlights the beauty and simplicity of the lottery world.
Well, that's I mean, I understand like because we had some issues. I definitely understand we had some issues with the lottery world, but it was not as convoluted as this.
No, no,
Like,
not at all. And to live in that world is very clear. Like, okay, I want to have money for my family. I've lived a
right,
good life. I'll die so
yeah,
that my family's what. Like, this is just like,
it's a lot of
you
shit.
know how many bodies? What do you mean? Why would I know that? I'm a civilian. Oh God, he fucking sucks, bro. I hate him. Um, I'm really just mad at Quinn turning his back on those three men with guns because not
Yeah,
only are you doing that, but you're walking out of this building past more people. What's the one chick name was like? What's her name? Honey Sue, which
Honey
is
Sue. Yeah,
so
is she
fucking
packing?
country. That was very Dixie chick.
I mean, they really got into it. Like, is that
Hey,
everybody in Texas, Ray? Does everybody
hey,
Billy
gotta be.
Ray?
I was for it though. I was like, okay, Honey Sue, I like this, Miss Anna Nicole. But I'm like, even her, she probably got a gun in that wig. Like,
She
what?
gonna
Like,
pull it
what?
out?
It was. I would. I would like to see this episode redone, even if it's still set in the '90s, redone today.
Mm,
Just for the politics of gun ownership. That alone.
Man.
Oh,
Nah, some of the stuff we asking for in the sliders for today, man. Nah, that
mm-mm.
Nah, I mean, the show would definitely be woke, but it would be like it would be good, but like those episodes would go hard because I could definitely see in a like you said, Texas,
Yeah.
Texas now, and I don't even live there, or just like any place in the southeast. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I always tell people like the further you get out of Metro Atlanta, the
Yeah.
country, the redder it gets, the
Yeah.
redder it gets.
Yeah.
So we go back to the casino. Now Rembrandt is kicking butt. He's I guess like they were like the gloves are off, so
Yeah.
he's killing it. Quinn comes over and tells Remy to cash out because they're about to leave. I guess they're getting ready to leave or whatever. And Wade and Remy's like, I don't want to leave. Oh no, Wade comes over, tells him to cash out, or maybe Quinn, whatever. But then Wade tells his hands, and then she has to carry he's like carries the not the tokens but the chips,
Mm-hmm.
to cash out. So we go back to I just have streets. We go back to the streets. Bullock Bullock's second in command has a meeting with Priscilla, and they got a lot of use out of this one location.
Yes.
They didn't go to no park. They just stayed in this office area. They said everybody's gonna meet here. This is like what is the place down here? And I live down here. Not Centennial Park, but the Atlantic Station. This is the Atlantic Station
God,
in this
yes.
area. So Priscilla is Priscilla explains to I guess Quinn, who comes over, that Bullock is mounting a hostile takeover with the specialist from back east named Billy the Kid. Okay, so Quinn at that point also gets a notice that he's been challenged to fight, and I think this is when Jamie says, "Oh, Quinn's gonna win it. Quinn's gonna do it. Yada yada yada. He's gonna shoot that motherfucker in the head, and he's gonna be dead." And Quinn says, "Oh God, no." He says, don't kill. I just still don't kill. I don't kill. So he says, I don't kill. I just still. Quinn, and as he's talking to Priscilla, Priscilla says that I'll just go ahead and give up the company because you can't shoot. That's the thing. You're going to die. And as they're talking, Jamie reaches over and pulls the gun out of Quinn's holster. And I'm like, is that the lightest gun in the face of the earth? So, and also like out of your periphery, you don't see this little human pulling the gun, but is what it is. So the kid is like, y'all talk, I kill. So Bullock, he's doing the opposite of what Quinn said. So Bullock is in the office talking to Billy the Kid, the second in command. Whatever. They're like, evil, evil, evil. We're gonna take over this. That's what he says. Bullock says, it's the information highway, boys, and once we take over this tech company, we're gonna be at the at this head of the line. And so Jamie rolls up in the office. How he get past security? How he get past everybody? He pulls a gun on Bullock, and Bullock looks over to Billy the Kid, and Billy's like, "This ain't my fucking problem. You just hired me to kill some dude named Quinn." And so Quinn shows up and gives another "I have a dream" speech to Jamie and says, just steal, don't kill. And then Jamie is like, he doesn't shoot. And then Priscilla shows up because I guess like Quinn was booking it. And Quinn says, how much does he know about us? And I was just like, what?
Hello?
Is this his child?
It's Act 3.
It was just like, why throw this like random ass thread into the story at this point?
This shit.
And then Priscilla's like, there ain't nothing between us. And I was just like, it sounds like there is. It's just like, this is random. So Bullock, and they had called the police. So the sheriff shows up just to get punked out by Bullock again. And he's like, go back and just look off into the space again like you always do. And then Billy the Kid says to Quinn, like, get ready for some killing. You killing, you gonna be dead. So that's it. And so because I'm trying to see how much is left. Okay, yeah. So this is I'm just gonna put everything together. So we go back to casino. Wade is like, I hate this world, guns everywhere, people just killing. And this is where Professor says, if you would just shut the fuck up,
Mm-hmm.
I would be able to think of a way to get out. I was like, God, they don't like each other. They go back from like loving each other, like these, this is my team, to being like, I like shit like this. So, um, Priscilla says that once again that she's going to back out, and then Quinn says that they actually got 300 to 400K from what Remy won, and what he explains is that based on what he earned, if Quinn successfully wins his duel, that she'll be all right. She'll be able to stay solvent. And they're
Yeah.
like, you can't shoot, right? And he's like, I got a plan. So they go to the duel, which is, if you notice, at the same place where they slid from the monarchy world. And
Mm.
yeah, so it's that
Okay.
same. Yeah, it's like the same front of the building. They're on the streets, high noon. I will say I think they do successfully lean really well into like the
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood version of what the Wild West is.
Yeah.
Because depending on what you watch, shit wasn't as romanticized as they make it. So high noon, Quinn is on one end, Billy the kid is on the other. There's like two rows of people, and I'm like, people can get shot, right? So
Bro.
they're facing each other, and then Quinn pulls off his gun belt, and so Billy says something to the effect of like, "I'll shoot you if you have it on or not." Like he
Yeah.
says that, right? And so then the Quinn talks about, he was like, this is when they admit, he's like, fuck it, we about to slide. He's like, I come from a world where you don't need to kill. And I'm like, plenty of people
Bro.
kill in our world.
Right.
Like, like you can't say like our world is like this peaceful utopia. It's just like, no, like people die every day from gun violence. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like how he puts it. He was just like, we just don't kill as often as y'all, and then eat steak. And so he also tells the sheriff, he says, grow a backbone, and the sheriff is just like, yeah, I need to. He doesn't say it. It's like, I need to grow a backbone, because the sheriff is there for this like condoned murder, and so then the Bullock is like, kill him, and then Billy says, now I can't shoot an unarmed man. It was like, but you said that just a few minutes ago. I don't understand who would read these scripts. Like, when I write something, I send it to 2 or 3 people to
Hey.
proofread.
Yeah.
And I've never written a Hollywood script. It doesn't say, like, within the same fucking scene. So it's whatever. So Bullock pulls a gun. He pulls a gun to kill I was Quinn,
Mountain.
and then Jamie runs in front of Quinn. Then Priscilla comes over, and then Billy Ray, because Billy Ray is there. I guess he was on the unemployment line and came to see this murder. And then like everybody else that's there, even random ass extras, just stand in front of Quinn. And then the sheriff decides to saying he arrests Bullock because it's like it's a violation of the SEC regulations, and I was like, goobly globby gloobly. And it's just random shit that they just toss
Yeah.
out there. They're like, people don't know business in
Mm-hmm.
Wall Street, but we got to wrap this shit up. And
Yeah.
then Billy Ray steps forward. Oh, that's I'm sorry. That's when everybody steps forward, and so. The professor says, well, Mr. Bullock, if you won't pull the trigger, I will. Why are you egging this man on? When? I'm like,
He sucks, bro.
this is weird. Like the writing got very sloppy towards
Mm-hmm.
the end. And so the professor pulls out the timer and he jumps through. Wade and Rembrandt jump through, and everybody is, who's there are watching what's happening, and everybody's shocked. And I think Quinn says something like to Jamie that it takes a strong man to not react in anger, strong enough man to not react in anger as to react in angrily or whatever. And then He slides, and so the sheriff arrests Bullock. And so there's this movie, kids, that I haven't even seen. It's old. It's called Shane. It's an old western. It's actually one of the ones that was not as, kind of that era when they were trying to not romanticize the westerns as much.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the movie, there's this kid who yells out to the hero, Shane, Shane, come back. So that's kind of what this is, him
Okay.
saying Quinn. So that's kind of the parallel that they're doing. Like, they do this stuff from time to time.
I'm glad you
And
said
so
that.
the episode ends with Jamie, I don't know, saying Quinn come back, or Quinn, where are you going?
Come back.
And Quinn come back. And then that's how the episode ends. So that was this episode.
Womp womp.
there any thoughts about anything leading up to
No,
it
fuck
before we
this
get to
shit.
final?
It's 10 o'clock at night on a school night, and Priscilla just walking around in her finest white queen outfit, just with her son. Which, I mean, I guess she's an attentive parent, so I'll give her that. But like, send him to bed.
Or to school. Or to school.
Maybe they don't have school in Gun World, but also she left Rembrandt at that casino, and
Yeah.
she changed her clothes. Like like it's you just trusted your money with this random man. Yeah, we kind of know him. Yeah, I get that. But like, if you mortgage off your house and you
Yes.
got all this stuff riding on this, you don't like, even with him folding, anything could have happened. There rules for poker could be slightly different on this earth. I was like, what do we do? I know she doesn't know that they're sliders, but like, ma'am,
You
you
too
don't know this
trusting.
man. The poker element felt unnecessary because
Yes.
it didn't really pay off anywhere. Um, One of my biggest concerns that you've already mentioned it. What does he know about us? I assumed Priscilla's husband that Priscilla was having an affair with Bullock, and then he killed him, and that Jamie was his son. I was like,
Right.
what is? Because he's like, yeah, if I can have my family, nobody can. I'm like, this was so unnecessary. This was very. I feel like there was one draft and then a second draft that was very similar to the first draft, but they never checked to make sure they wasn't reading from the first draft, because there has to be a draft where they had an affair. There's nothing between us and nothing ever will be. Huh? What, what are you talking about, lady? Also, why can't you talk your son down from murdering? Also, is security so lax in this world because everyone has a gun? Because had to be at least on the 15th floor. That little boy
Right.
went, he
Yeah.
stole that toy gun. He found the exact. How did he know where to go? What's going on here? Did him holding that? Is that gun not heavy? That's a child. That boy got, what is he, like 7 years old, 8 years old? That was a child. I The other white man in this episode who I was familiar with is the guy. He was in Scream, but he was also Betty Cooper's father in Riverdale.
Okay.
And he ended up, they did this arc where he was like Hannibal Lecter. The show got weird, but I
What?
enjoyed him. And I want to say he was on Real Housewives as well, or Desperate Housewives as well. I don't know. Either way, this was a bunch of shit. When we got to this end and Billy Ray stood up in front of Quinn, I said, that's the magical Negro right there. This whole time, you just been black dude who happens to just kind of be around. But once you got fired
Yeah.
and you decided to put your body in between a
Yes.
bullet and this random white man who cannot shoot for nothing, it to me that made no sense. Okay, yeah, magical Negro. Yeah, that aside, in this world where shooting is currency, what is your incentive to step in front of a bullet for this man? Like, I'm genuinely asking. I know it's like, don't kill him, he's Quinn. Yes, I get that. But like,
Mhm.
in any other circumstance, why what would possess you to step in front of him? Am I making I feel crazy?
No, no, you're not crazy. I mean, the other thing though that I remember was that Billy Ray was talking about, we gonna kill the motherfucker, like, we gonna kill Priscilla, and it was just like, we're making threats. So just because you got fired Now you're on the side of the angels. No, you were complicit.
You did a lot of dirty shit. I know it wasn't on
Yes,
camera, but we know you did a lot.
yes. Like you didn't pull the trigger, but you at least know enough to tell Quinn we gonna body her. Like,
And you know where the bodies are buried. And
right.
also, Priscilla, she is a terrible mom. And I'm gonna tell you why. Why did you bring your child up there unless that is Bullock's child? That's the only way that makes sense. Why would you drag your child up
To
there in
see
front of that
Quinn
Bullock?
get murdered.
You know his father's gone. Like you don't. I'm not even Quinn. You're a handsome guy.
Yeah.
You serve me well, but nigga, I'm not letting my child be an orphan because what? He first of all, Rembrandt. If Rembrandt was up there, sure, he won you all the
Yeah.
money. Quinn ain't did shit for you. Quinn, Quinn ain't. I mean, he did, but like fuck him. So what? He can't shoot. Weird ass nigga. I just that whole ending scene felt so rushed,
Yeah.
or like there was a different version. Because again, what woman, regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity, Lord Jesus, ethnicity, is going to pull their child in front of a moving bullet unless
Yeah.
their child name is Clark Kent? Makes no sense. Um, and the professor, I'm even going to excuse that egging on at the end because it's like whatever. And then he dove into the slide like he was the dolphin. He was like, man, I'm getting the fuck away. You motherfuckers is weird. Say what you want about the professor. He ain't never killed nobody.
No, he's got the fuck out every episode. He was just like the thing. I wonder if that goes back to the beginning of the episode where he was like, I went away for a book and y'all bodied somebody. So
Yes.
I have nothing to do with any of this. He was just he just did, like you said, he did that dolphin backflip into
Yes. He's like, fuck this shit. You motherfuckers is crazy. Like it's I think this ending was not earned. That
no.
the way they structured the ending wasn't earned. You could have just and then it's also why y'all playing with guns. Quinn was shot jumping from Lottery World. What are we doing?
Like I said, when he said, well, if you don't pull the trigger, Mr. Bullock, I will. And it was just like
This was too much. The fact that Quinn even showed up tomorrow, I'm gonna be gone or I'm gonna be dead. Either way, girl, we need you. This is not a game.
well, he was. I'm sorry, before I forget,
No.
and he was not opposed. You remember in the Eggheads episode to hiding in the woods until they had to, but he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go help her win this company. And I mean, I don't know. I think the other thing that got me was like at one point, Cliff, before they hung him, was like, you need $1 million. You need $1 million. Maybe he was talking about that for the buy-in, but it sounded like that was the end amount that she needed to stay solvent. They only before this scene, they only got 400,000.
Yep.
I'm like, that's not $1 million. That's not $1 million.
Also, kill Bullock. Like, just kill him and everything will be okay. Because Quinn was like, yeah, in our world, we don't do. Boy, fuck your. Like, y'all have been to so many worlds.
Yes.
You've been to a world where women were the dominant gender. And you mean to tell me you cannot fathom that this world, like, when you leave, nothing is going to change.
No.
Like, you've done nothing. You've done nothing but kill a man. I mean, you ain't did that, but like nothing is going to change. And there was never this conversation throughout the episode of like things could be better. Why do y'all rely on guns? Nothing like that. Like, I mean, it's like, yeah, they shoot is more violent here. Yeah, but it was never like, how does this change? What do we do? Because I think even back in the 90s, honestly, as far as America, real world America is concerned, how do you even get that conversation off the ground? Hell, today it's an issue. We've had fucking Sandy Hook and what's the nigga with the trench coat? Columbine, who kicked off the, you know what I'm saying? So I understand intellectually that there's probably more than likely some limitations with this topic, but it's like y'all chose this. I'm a viewer. Y'all chose this. It could have easily been, I hate to say this, but whips. It could have been it could have been any number of things to substitute for gun, but y'all chose guns. So like, I'm just commenting on what y'all chose, 90s or not. This shit was weird.
It's funny because I just finished up the show called My Name, and
Mm-hmm.
I've watched a few Korean like action dramas,
Mm-hmm.
and because they don't have like gun proliferation like we do
Yeah.
over here, like illegal gun proliferation and even legal gun proliferation,
Mm-hmm.
they they use knives, right?
Yeah.
They use knives, and the other thing that I saw, and I think this might be real. Uh, Mind you, this is a fictional show about
Yeah.
like it's like, but when the detectives are like, "Man, we gotta go on this raid," they gotta check out their guns. The pit they, and even then, it's like these six-chambered revolvers from like
Yeah.
from like um what was it, Columbo, that type of shit. So
Yeah.
so it's just like the gun part of this I'm fine with, because I
Mm-hmm.
do like the parallel of them, like the corporate gunslinger,
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing. But like their rules were so all over the fucking place, and the resolution to this was such it was just a
Ass.
mess.
This shit was ass.
Um, I so let's just scroll through, because to be honest with you, I think that was our final thoughts about this movie.
Honestly, yeah.
That was it. So those are, without saying final thoughts, everything from the end of the episode recap was like our final thoughts.
Yeah.
Um, so let's start with favorite and favorite character, least favorite character. Well, no, least favorite character and then favorite character.
Um, for me, least. It's not difficult, but because everybody, the whole show was kind of insufferable for me. Least, uh, even though Bullock and them were like shitty, I'm probably gonna go with the guy who was playing poker with Rembrandt. Something about him felt like shut the fuck up. Like it because the poker went nowhere
Yeah.
and have him, oh, he's gonna like, girl, be quiet. You suck. You are more insufferable than Bullock. So I'll go with him for my least favorite, because like, nigga, what? Um my favorite, honestly, is probably going to be Jamie.
Okay.
Um out of everyone in this episode, I hate to say it because it's a child with a gun, but he's the only one who took initiative and got some shit done and saw results. I'm sorry. He saw these magician angels. He counted on them for help, and then every time he met them, they lied. So remember that when Wade was like, "Oh, I want to tell you," well, she was like, "Tell me something." He was like, "No, I want to hear." She was like, "Well, something." He was like, "Well, why should I believe you?" Yes, why should he? Y'all have been fucking gaslighting him this whole episode. You like, I could talk shit about Priscilla all day long, but y'all been lying to this boy's face.
Yeah.
And he still handled that with grace. He took that gun, he went up them 15 flights of stairs, and he pulled the gun on the man who he knows was responsible for his mama's trouble, his dead daddy, and his business going under.
His dad's stepdaddy. The
Oh,
way that
truly.
they added that in that last minute, like there was a relation suggestion of a relationship.
Have you seen Harder They Fall with
Which one is that?
Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, the cowboy movie?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
This is it right here. This is the end of the Harder They Fall. Like, this is it.
Yes,
So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, Jamie for the win. Go him and Jillian. I want to see them.
Wait a minute. So then after what happened with Majors, did we like forget all his moves? No, let me stop. Like I no, let me stop. No, I
No,
just I can't. I was like, I love that movie actually, and it's not.
same.
Yeah, I love that movie. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of Jonathan Majors, like you told.
Hey, I don't tell you, I love it. And it's a part one because Book of Clarence is essentially a part two. Well, it's same universe, but
It's the same. It's the same director, right?
and I love it. Yes,
Okay,
he is.
I need to see Book of Clarence. I need to see Book of
Please, well,
Clarence.
it's religious. I'll say it.
Mhm.
If if you're a Christian person, I thought, as being an atheist, I thought it was did a good job of presenting biblical stories in a
Yeah.
way that if you almost like Bible study is supposed to.
Mhm.
I have a Christian friend who was like, "Oh, I didn't like it." I was like, "Okay, hey, sorry."
Mhm.
So just that caveat right there. If you're
I'm a
Christian, you may
Christian.
not like it.
I'm good. So I mean, I had an interest in seeing it. So, so I'll add it to the ever-growing list on Netflix. We actually were trying to watch One of Them Days tonight. That's on Netflix. Yeah.
I'm gonna do the same.
Yeah. So my favorite, oh god. So least favorite first. I'd have to say, maybe the second in command. The guy
Okay.
that, yeah, because once again, I mean, I know if I did the research, I can find his name, but he
Hmm.
just seemed to be kind of a non-entity.
Yeah,
It was this vibe of
that's fair.
like, could Bullock just have had the conversations with Billy Ray? Did they have to have an extra person in those rooms where it was like primarily them at the law firm, and then even like the guy passing along the information to
Hmm.
Priscilla,
Hmm.
and he just kind of seemed there, you know.
Yeah.
So as far as with that, um, and as far as my favorite, I'm going to say Billy Ray. I'm
Yeah.
going to say Billy Ray because I think that everything before he got fired, he was just like this. He was just like a henchman. He
Yeah.
was a henchman, like, and he was like saying like we gonna ride up on this woman, and he was pro Bullock and all of that. So it was just like I kind of liked him as an antagonist, but then they kind of like twisted around and, like you said, sacrificial Negro
Yeah.
for Quinn. He was like, I understand everything that you're saying. After my many years of living on this earth, you swayed my opinion. That's like when that woman killed herself, as sorry, spoiler,
Yeah.
in the lottery world.
Yeah.
She was just like, that's some stupid shit, Rembrandt. You traveling all the world? It's like,
Yes.
I've been raised since 1 years old to believe like part of my life is it's
Hmm.
like should be non-existent. I'm about to flip that in one
Hey.
final scene.
Hey.
So Billy Ray. So
Okay.
favorite moment, least favorite moment from the episode.
That's hard. Ugh, this one probably Jamie pulling that gun because I'm just like,
Okay.
and I hate that because it's a child with a gun. But like,
Yeah.
I stand by what I said. He is the only character who
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna take care of this shit, and he
Mm-hmm.
did it. And the I feel like that shouldn't be my favorite scene, but I mean it is. If I'm being
Mm-hmm.
honest, he got their attention
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
ultimately kicked off the showdown at, well, it was, whatever. I feel like he
Mm-hmm.
did what he's supposed to do. Minus the gun, y'all. I'm American, forgive me. Least favorite. Um Shit, the whole episode. No. Probably the least favorite is that last little bit of
Yeah.
not only the magical Negro hopping in front of him, but also Priscilla and her child. Like
Mhm.
that, I truly can compartmentalize everything else and be like, okay,
Mhm.
this is what, but this made no sense with the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
That truly bothered me. First go, I said, what the fuck are y'all doing? And all those other extras too. You could have established that everybody was like a fan of Quinn for
Yeah.
what he did, but you never did that. So
No.
these random people,
Just step it up.
I was like, this is dumb. So that's my least favorite. I did not like that at all. No.
So
Mm-mm.
like my favorite moment was Remy winning at the poker table. I think
Yeah.
because and I think this is changing kind of going forward, but
Hmm.
he was involved in the episode, and there I'm not saying he's never involved, but like it was good to see him being able to kind of one up, this skeevy businessman or whatever,
Yeah.
and just going into that knowing that he was good at what he did, you know. Um, so that was cool. And least favorite is when they started forgetting like badly written moments, like where they were just forgetting shit. Like in the same scene, Billy the Kid is just like, well, I'll kill you regardless. And then he's like, I can't kill him regardless. Like literally in the same fucking scene. And then, when they run into the room and then Bullock is like, does the boy know? Oh, and it's just like, and you just throw that in there and don't
Yes.
follow it up. So, like, the bad writing, especially in the Act 3, like, it was really weird. Like, it was just like they got to Act 3 and they was just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
We got 13 more episodes of this shit to write. And I was like, but you got a writer's room. It's not just one person.
Like somebody could figure this shit out. Somebody,
read,
yeah.
read each other's work. And I'm not going back to that whole thing of like, this is not one of those cases of because it's the 90s. Like they were writing this shit back in the 90s. I watched it.
This very show has had very good episodes. So it's not. Yeah. I'm with you.
And so out of out of 10 Jamie's holding guns,
bruh. Honestly.
How are you rated this episode?
So I don't like it. But I do recognize acts 1 and 2 were cohesive. So I am going to give it some grace, because usually when we talk things out, I do feel a little better even on episodes I don't like. But I'm not going to give it a whole lot of grace. I'm going to say 5 Children of the Corn Jamies holding pistols. I'm gonna give it a solid 5, middle of the road. I didn't like it, but I do think there were good elements, and I understand why someone would like it. So 5, it got 5 for me.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead with a 6.
Okay.
I'm at a 6. 6 Jamies holding revolvers. You killed my Paul.
So American, bro.
Yeah, like that's. I mean, they definitely delved into the Americanness with this one.
And no Hispanics, no natives, no indigenous people. I was just like,
you can't find them up in Vancouver, right? That's what the casting director said.
Man, Bullock could have been indigenous. Like you could have switched somebody out.
I mean, I ain't seen no black people in the background. Yeah, I mean, but more Hispanic people would have made more sense. Like,
I mean, come on, like,
especially considering the history of Texas and that region. Like,
oh my god, if we seen a Wild West continued, brother, those people don't just disappear.
I mean, according to the people who wrote this episode and who run Hollywood, shit, like we haven't existed. I'm sorry, like Sliders fans gonna be watching this and I'm like, oh, here they go.
And
shit, like, I mean, but that's the stuff that you have to take into account when you're doing an alternate history. You can't just sit back and say like Sam Houston extended his way all the way over to the West Coast, and all the Hispanics were like, "Well, time to go," right?
Like nobody. Yeah, that shit. They. The only thing I will give them grace for, and it's not giving them grace for this, is that it's the 90s, so I know things were a little different. We got very special gay episodes, which usually ended up with someone with AIDS, and then you had a very special AIDS episode. And you had so I get the 90s part of it, but y'all decided to do a show about sliding to multiple worlds. Yeah, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, if you're just looking at history, you gotta account for that. That's so weird to me. Like,
I mean, and I know for a fact that they were casting people who weren't just in the Vancouver area. They could have cast them in Los Angeles. Could have had like, I mean, the law firm probably, if you want to have a second in command, have a Hispanic guy, have a Hispanic lady, have it like, I don't know, like they had Battlestar Galactica. The Captain Adama was Edward James Olmos. Like, it's just, so we know that y'all can bring different cultures
and also,
to the city.
Fuck a budget. I want somebody to talk about a budget. There are starving actors, aspiring actors of every race, every ethnicity, just falling out of the sky into LA every day. And then now, because we have streaming and YouTube and stuff, people are doing their own indie stuff. You can't make me believe. If I always use this example, and I hate to tokenize this identity, but if a black queer man, is going to write a story about a Southeast Asian trans disabled person, I can get online and find there's going to be at least 4 people with that very same intersectionality that I could be like, hey, can I pay you to read this book? You know, can you sensitivity? Like, there's no excuse. Or even if I just get trans and disabled, like in some kind of way, I'm going to get what I'm asking for. So like, this is so silly, but I can appreciate even the episodes where I am not 100% happy, because they are sparking these conversations, and it's one piece of a larger show that I think overall even with my critiques, is a really good show that people
Mhm.
should watch. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Fuck. Robert, you want to let these folks know how to find you and support you and all that?
Best place is going to be robertkjeffrey.com, robertkjeffrey.com. The website has undergone a revamp, so and you can find my social media links on there too.
Hey,
But yeah, robertkjeffrey.com.
good deal. Y'all can find me on just search Carefree Black Nerd on all social medias. Blue Sky, still on X, Twitter X, YouTube, Carefree Black Nerd. Of course, you're watching it here or you're listening podcasts. Everywhere you listen to your podcast, just search Carefree Black Nerd. And or if you want to be fancy, search Sliding Through the Multiverse podcast. And that
Yep.
this should be the only show that fucking pops up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, copyright infringement. Gosh damn it. No. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And I don't know, man. This was an enjoyable conversation.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good conversation.
Yeah, because the episode was
Yeah.
Listeners, viewers, let us know what your thoughts are on this episode. And if you liked it, that's fine. Tell me why you liked it. If you like, hey, this is really good to me, I'm not gonna judge, I just want to know. Yeah, so I guess until next time, stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky, and if you happen to be a child whose father was murdered and you take it upon yourself to final girl, final boy this shit, listen to the man you about to kill because it's probably your real father. Listen closely to the words he say when you pull that gun on him. And if you're in other countries, when you pull that knife on him, just listen to those words. Because we know y'all have more gun control than we do. So I don't know. Just be safe, y'all, when you're getting the final girl. I don't know.